find Pepsi and Coke in the stores starting from today. Trade union leaders confirmed that 70% of the stores have banned the selling of these products, and in the other 30% are only waiting to clear up their stock.
Today, to Tamil Nadu traders, all traders, to Coke, Pepsi, all stop to strike. To today's salt, every day, your big shop, your supermarket, this hotel, so petrol pump, to mall, your discussion tomorrow evening at the meeting. Your others, your all parties to cooperate to Pepsi, Coke, your all shop, your today closed.
When I was the health minister at the time, I was completely against the junk food and these carbonated drinks. And in fact, we had gotten a policy saying that no schools in India should sell all these junk food like these Coke or Pepsi.
It's totally unfair. I do believe, distributors are only intermediaries. And I don't think an intermediary must get into the decision-making process. The consumer is God. The consumer is the decision-making person. So leave it to the consumer. Don't interfere.
I feel they should be banned, and also they have their aerated drinks. So they cause other problems in your body too. The additives added in that, we don't know if they're safe or not.
Even if you ban these Pepsi and Coke, they will eventually come here. So I don't think that this law is not proper in India.
I think Pepsi and Coke should be banned because it is not good for our health first. And as we are the future of our country, we should know first about the advantages, disadvantages of everything we use first.
Well, that's the raging debate in Tamil Nadu today, and it's very likely to catch on and become contagious as the rest of the country now debates whether or not Coca-Cola and Pepsi should be allowed to sell their product off the shelves. Just to give our viewers a recap, the entire debate actually has 2 points here. One is a water-starved Tamil Nadu. Can it afford the kind of water that is being supplied right now to the plants that manufacture these drinks? The trade union says that international firms are exploiting the state's water supply, given the fact that Tamil Nadu has had an increasingly acute water shortage. The second question is, are they any good for you? And should you be consuming any of these products at all? And that's the question we're asking this evening. We're going to find out if it makes sense for the trade union, the people who are the middlemen that pass the bottle between the manufacturer and the customer, to take this stand and decide that the bottles have to go off the shelves. Should the trade unions be taking matters into their own hands? Does it make sense to take these products off the shelf? And if we are, and I want you to consider other options, if we are deciding that cola is bad for you and should not be on the shelves, then what about things like alcohol and cigarettes that are also very obviously bad for you and still available freely in our markets? That's the question we're asking today, and I'm asking that question of you. Our phone number is on your screen. Pick up the phone and call us and be part of the conversation. In the meantime, on the show this evening, Alexander is a member of the consortium of Tamil Nadu Traders Association. He's in the studio. I'm glad to have him here. Rahul Easwar is an activist who represents the people of Tamil Nadu in this conversation. Naini Setalvad is a very, very respected nutritionist who's come in, who will tell us what happens literally when we drink cola and whether or not it makes sense to allow these things to be freely available, especially to young children who are their target audience. Mehta is a corporate life coach and a leading holistic health guru. C. Rajsekharan is an advocate who also represents and talks about a lot of the problems being faced in Chennai. Sridhar Pabishetty, CEO of Namma Bengaluru Foundation, is a citizen activist. Jayaram Venkatesan is a co-convenor of an NGO called Arapor. And of course, we'll also have Sumanth Raman join us through the course of this conversation. C. Rajsekharan, should the trade union be allowed to take matters into their own hands and decide that the bottles have to be taken off the shelves?
Hey, see, as far as this trade unions strike or they're imposing their own rule is up to them. But the customer is the king for any product in the country. So the customer should be given the choice, be it the local product or the multinational brand, any product. But going by the merit, whichever aerated drink, any local drink, it has to be certified by the health department, by the proper authorities concerned. So when somebody has cleared all the procedures and is allowed to sell his product in the Indian market, and the government policy is 100% foreign direct investment for food products.
Yes.
Being that case, you cannot ban something on your own. This is not just we are in a country where everything goes in a banning spree.
Yes.
It's not at all fair. So I would urge the government at the state and center again to
Rahul Easwar.
this matter.
Rahul Easwar, very good point that Mr. Rajsekharan is making. If it's legal, if they have done all the checks and balances, and if the customer is finally king, how will the customer be able to make a choice if it's not available on the shelf?
Have high regards for a person of eminence of Rajsekharan ji, but please remember the deeper context. It is not a mere aspect of choice. And what are these companies doing? They are exploiting groundwater. They are selling these kind of aerated bad products which are for health. And everyone knows it. It adds to obesity. It adds to so many physiological disorders. And remember, after Jallikattu, there is a cultural kind of uprising. There is, we need to protect our own kind of ecosystem. The idea of getting root. And I believe Tamils are once again showing India the way to move forward. When world over, people are thinking about economic nationalism, starting Donald Trump's USA. Why can't we protect and promote our? Why can't we have Nariyal ka pani?
No, hang on. Rahul Easwar, you're confusing several arguments. So let's take the arguments one by one. And the first one is of groundwater. The fact that Sipcot, which provides water out of the rivers to these factories, and factories of various companies, not just Coke and Pepsi, is allowed to extract 3 million gallons of water per day, which is about 136 lakh litres of water per day, out of which, let me point out to you, in 2015-16, Pepsi was allowed to draw out about 15 lakh litres of water per day. Coca-Cola was allowed to draw 18 lakh litres per water per day. Neither of them drew the full allotted amount. Now, I want to go over to Alexander, who is a member of the consortium of Tamil Nadu traders. Alexander, what is the real reason behind the protest? Is it the water? Is it the health? Is it the fact that you believe that Indian products should be pushed over these global products? What is the real reason?
So, if I want to say in a nutshell, it's the combination of all. This particular protest has not started right now. It started from 1998, the protest against Pepsi or Coke, but it never picked up. It's because of the fact that the youth were been addicted. They have been slowly taking up Pepsi Coke day by day, and it ruined the complete family and complete youth, right? But after this Jallikattu protest has come in, so during the Jallikattu protest also, this youth, the huge amount of youth, almost 15 plus lakhs of people, so took a oath that they don't want to take any more Pepsi Cokes, right?
No, but Alexander, don't you believe that the Indian products will also be similarly addictive and unhealthy? The Indian products that you're talking about, will they not be similarly? No, Rahul Easwar, I can see you shaking your head. I'm not talking about Nariyal Pani. I'm talking about cola manufactured in India or cola manufactured in Tamil Nadu.
See, what we are trying to say is the colas which is manufactured in India, right? Let's say if it has been manufactured in Tamil Nadu, the amount of pesticide which has been added or the preservative which is added compared to Coke and Pepsi is less. Because Coke and Pepsi, which is manufactured in 5 manufacturing units in Tamil Nadu, travels across the country. Yeah, because if it has been manufactured, if I took a Bovento, right, the pesticides or the preservative is less compared to the one which is added in the Coke. Because that's been very clear. Because this has not been stored for 6 months or 8 months of time, whereas Coke and Pepsi is stored for 8 months. Because it has to be transported all across the state.
I understand Thumbs Up is still available in all of the shops. What is the justification for Thumbs Up, Alexander? What is the justification for Thumbs Up?
So Thumbs Up doesn't see. We are looking at the volume of the product, which is
Right. Okay, so let me bring in Sumanth Raman, who joins us on this conversation. Sumanth Raman, you've heard the arguments. Argument number 1, groundwater. Argument number 2, it's very unhealthy. And argument number 3, that Indian companies put less pesticides in the colas than the global companies do. Do you agree with any of this?
No, I think, I mean, this entire thing comes from some kind of misguided, sense of some kind of, sub-nationalism kind of a feeling. I don't think this has got anything to do with Coke and Pepsi. It makes no sense whatsoever. If you look at it very objectively, first of all, the alternatives which they are promoting, for instance, in Tamil Nadu, it's a drink called Bovonto, that actually contains more of sugar. Okay, so it actually is more unhealthy in as far as the sugar is concerned from a caloric perspective than Coke or Pepsi. Second, if it's groundwater you're worried about, if you're going to have an indigenous alternative, it is going to take the same amount of groundwater. That is the second point. Third, if your worry is about pesticides, then you have to address that to the FSSAI. I mean, if you have a Food Safety Standards Authority of India which has certified Coke and Pepsi as safe, now if you're going to say that they don't know their job and this is safer than that is less safe and this is more safe, I mean, this is kind of, there is no rational scientific logic. If you are saying groundwater, why not they tomorrow all these people get together and run a campaign for shutting down the breweries and distilleries in the state? They consume massive amounts of water. Where is the need when there is such an acute scarcity and drought in the state? Where is the need to go and consume liquor? Why not you shut down all the distilleries and breweries? No agitation is happening for that. Then okay, take the other thing. These are all multinational companies. They are all looting India. These are all foreign things. Then you ban all the products of Coke and Pepsi. Why are you continuing to sell Aquafina? Why are you selling Kinley? Why are you selling Maaza? Why are you selling Minute Maid? Shut down everything. Whichever way you look at it, this makes zero sense. This has got, I don't know what the, either they are extremely misguided or there is some kind of mischievous motive. There is some kind of mischievous motive.
What is the mischievous motive? Alexander, the very fair point. Alexander, Sumanth Raman has very fair points.
No, you tell me how it makes sense. Yeah, please ask anybody, somebody
that's what I'm trying to make a point.
Yes.
I need to have a minute to say. It is not something, there is a mischievous point behind this ban. There is no ban. That is what I'm trying to say again and again. There is no ban. It is the personal interest which came in from everyone, from the shopkeepers, that they don't want to sell these pesticides anymore. Because if you look at the Jallikattu protest, where the youth were very clearly said that they don't want to have this Coke or Pepsi been taken up, right? When that has been taken up from a youth, why the sellers has to sell it? Because when we know that it contains pesticide and it is containing, when it is going to affect the body of the persons, right? Why do we need to continue selling it?
Alexander, Mr. Raman just told us that Bovonto has more sugar.
Why is the government allowing it to be sold? Why don't you file a case?
There is a mischief behind
Why not this man go to court and file a case? And how can the government allow something
filing a case?
What is the FSSAI there for? Go and file a case, man.
Now we are saying no. See, now we are not saying that we are banning it.
No, it is unsafe, right? You're saying it's unsafe.
It is a boycott or it is not banning. It is the personal interest of everyone to save their life. So are we looking at the generation? Not, because as you said, there is a water scarcity.
No, but
and the farmers have been struggling a lot.
So then can you tell me that none of the stores who have made this decision...
On what basis are you saying this?
Alexander, can you tell me that none of the stores that have made this decision are retailing cigarettes?
I think
please produce the report.
Fundamentally, we are not looking what we need to do it, but what we are looking is we are supporting Pepsi and Coke, where we are not supporting them. But we are not against them. And when we say that we are supporting Bovonto,
let's open up the debate now to everyone on the panel. And see,
take it out.
Here are the points that Sumanth Raman has made. Very valid points. If we're talking about groundwater, then any other company that is also Indian making the similar kind of cola is also using the same groundwater or the same amount of groundwater. If we're talking about health, then the Indian companies that are being promoted right now have in fact more sugar content in the drink than the ones that we're talking about. And if we're talking about pesticides, then you must have evidence before you make these accusations. There are bodies that are available that you can file a complaint where the contents of this drink will be studied and we will get evidence. If we don't have that evidence, then it's very dangerous to be making these comments. I'm going to open it up to the panel right now and get opening and get.
I think you should be aware. You should be tracking
Yeah, one second. I want to get Naini in. Naini, we're talking about. There's no doubt about the fact that these drinks are unhealthy. But right now, let's look at the fact that Thumbs Up is still available, that Minute Maid is still available, that Maaza is still available, all from the same companies. Also, if that's the case, and if what Alexander is saying is we're just deciding that we don't want to give something that's bad
all
for
the
people.
chips, all the brands of chips
all
are
the brands
available.
of chips. Take
very,
the cigarettes off the shelves
people
then.
become fat.
Don't sell cigarettes, but they will continue to sell cigarettes because the margins for retailers are very, very high when it comes to cigarettes. Do you stand by this ban, Naini?
It's not worth banning anything, but I don't see any reason why anybody should be consuming any kind of soft drink, especially aerated drinks.
Okay, why
It causes a lot of harm.
What sort of harm?
It damages your kidneys. It leaches the calcium from your body. It is high in sugar. It leads to obesity. It causes elevated blood pressure. Honestly, all these drinks. It's not about Coke. It's not about Pepsi. I call all this food legalize illegal food. It's about time we get up. Maybe the ban of Coke and Pepsi will make people realize how bad actually it is for you. We are actually having a Generation X. Do we want XL size?
So
it
you
causes
believe
cancer,
that this sort of boycott should be nationwide?
Of course it should be a nationwide and over all drinks. You cannot say one thing. And yes, a lot of people say you sell alcohol, you sell cigarettes, but that doesn't say it has a warning sign. It's dangerous
so
for
then
health.
why not sell these products with a warning sign?
That's what I said.
So why not
Legalize
put a
illegal
warning on
drinks.
this?
Okay.
I mean,
And
don't
think
ban
that-
it, but give people the choice.
Give people, I mean,
And
give
look
people
after
the
your
choice would
environment.
involve, no, look, give people the choice would involve putting the drink
Put a
on
warning
the shelf.
level on Coke and Pepsi.
No, that's
Put
what
a
I
warning
said, not
level on
one
Coke
drink.
and Pepsi and say it could lead to all these things.
Put
That's
a
what I
warning,
said, not
put a warning
aerated
on-
drinks can lead to this.
Informed choice.
Informed choice. Okay, so how do we put out the informed choice? Now, by taking things off the shelf, Rahul Easwar, there is no informed choice.
This is a
Sridhar
campaign.
Pabishetty.
Please don't portray it as a ban. Please remember, this is a kind of campaign inspired spontaneously by the people of Tamil Nadu, inspired by a cultural revolution called Jallikattu. Please, there is no ban. It is very easy to portray something as a ban.
We were
and
told,
say
our
that
reporter was told, Rahul Easwar, that several traders were forced to take the product off their shelves, and it causes a certain amount of loss to business. So I don't believe that every trader voluntarily decided to, to take the product off his shelf. We were told the association forced several people to do so. I want to bring in Jayaram Venkatesh. Jayaram Venkatesh, what are you learning from the ground?
That's
if I may come in.
Yeah, Sridhar, I'll come to you. I just want to bring in Jayaram Venkatesh on this one point. Do you believe that it's a voluntary movement and everybody
on the ground,
has chosen to take the product off the shelf, Jayaram?
Yes, in the recent times there has definitely been a lot of awareness amongst the public, be it Coke or anti-Coke or anti-Pepsi. But we should understand the logic behind each of these things. I'm in fact worried about the trade union's announcement primarily because of the defies logic on certain aspects. In fact, they should argue this as a first step and look at withdrawing many more products out of the shelf. And that is what will give logic to this whole argument. Because number one, if you look at the groundwater, there are two things. One is, of course, Tamil Nadu. If you look at a state like Tamil Nadu, Tamarabarani is the only perennial river, irrespective of the amount of water that is being taken. There is, as you said, that 23% of the water Coke and Pepsi withdraws. There are, of course, other companies like ATC Tires that withdraws much more water. So that is also a concern. But these are concerns that we must ask the state government. We can't ask the trade union about these concerns. Number two, so from the trade union's point of view, if they are taking the step on a health aspect, we should force them to say, now you should also look at withdrawing Bovento. You should also look at other aerated drinks that needs to be withdrawn. So if they argue this as a first step towards withdrawing many more things from the health aspect, from the water table aspect, then it's a welcome move. But if they are going to say that we are only going to withdraw Coke and Pepsi and allow Bovento, allow our shop owners to sell Bovento, that is not fair. And the other point is that they can't force the shop owners, of course. But what we have seen the last 2 to 3 months on the ground is that many of the shop owners have voluntarily come and said that they won't sell Coke or Pepsi. Coke or Pepsi have become symbols of withdrawing this huge water, have become symbols of these things.
Rajsekharan, you believe this is wrong information? See, Rajsekharan? Rajsekharan, go ahead.
There is a lot of public support. There is a lot of public support when something like this comes up.
Rajsekharan, go ahead.
May I come in?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
See, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, I'm sure the trade unions are very strong in the state. So they have got control over all the small shops, big shops, and even the supermarket they control. So everybody is strongly connected among themselves, and they have imposed this within themselves, and they have ensured that they are going to not sell Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So the trade unions are strong, and they are not allowing the shopkeepers to sell the product. But as far as the consumer is concerned, he should be given the choice to buy whatever product he wants to.
Absolutely.
You cannot impose something on the people when the law does not permit you to ban any product.
But when a shopkeeper says you can't sell a cigarette, I won't sell a cigarette, we welcome him. Right? Similarly, when a shopkeeper says I won't sell Coca, Pepsi, we should welcome that as well.
But and I want to bring in.
That should be fair across the spectrum. They should also say that
I have one question. Sridhar Pabishetty and Mehta haven't spoken yet. Sridhar Pabishetty, my question is this. Now, we have government bodies who decide whether things are safe or not, who conduct investigations and then allow products to be placed on the shelf. We have government bodies to decide how much water each factory will get, depending on what they need to manufacture. We have government bodies that regulate pricing, that regulate labeling, that regulate information. It is not up to the trade union to decide what a customer can and cannot access.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely right.
Actually, if you look at it, the fundamental basics we need to go back into, and somewhere this debate has got very convoluted. What are we talking about? We are talking about the need for water and how water has to be regulated. If that is a principle, then I see a lot of logic in that. But it has broken apart the moment you say Bowanto is fine, but Pepsi is not fine. And I think that's where the fundamental problem is. You can't be selective in the way you look at this debate. If you remember, water is a long contested debate, and we have also debated on your show, especially during the Kaveri crisis, of how much water should be shared between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. When we know that water is scarce, we all have to be responsible in how we will regulate water for various purposes. We need water for drinking, we need water for bathing, we need water for growing food, we need water for all other purposes, we need water for industrial purposes. In a shortage time, we need much more nuanced and rational way of looking at these things. If it's about bottling of water by many of these companies, national or multinational, it doesn't make a difference as far as I am concerned. And national or multinational are equally evil in this battle of contestation for water. And if at all any of the organizers of this ban come back and say it's about profiteering and all that stuff, we can have a separate debate. But coming back to the contestation of water, what is important is that traders, if they individually act and say that I will not sell A or B or C, D products, then that is also fine. But forcing some other traders who are not willingly part of this ban is actually violating the principle of equality, right? If I am willing to sell, then I should be free to sell. You can't coax me into it.
Rahul Easwar, that's a very good point. And let me just bring in some data. There are over a dozen companies that function out of the city or out of the state of Tamil Nadu. They are all given allocations as to how much water they are allowed to use, and several of them overshoot that allocation. Now, out of this nearly 14 companies that use the water from the same river, why Pepsi and Coke? Why not ATC Tires? Why not Bosch Limited? Why not any of the other, Family Plastics Limited, Madurai Weaving Mills, Aditya Foods, Cotton Mills, Geeta Enterprises? There is a long list of companies that use the water. So if the problem is water and regulation of water, there is a case. But that case is not specifically against Pepsi and Coke, Rahul Easwar.
2 points. One, ma'am, it's not one reason. It is a combination of many reasons. There is a multi-aspected thing to this. There is not one reason alone. Health, water, exploitation by MNC, promoting our own. There are various dimensions to it. Second, no union is imposing anything. They are only inspiring. People are wrongly interpreting as imposing their own thing, whereas they are requesting, they have a great ecosystem bonding among one another. They are deciding by their own. It's a voluntary movement saying that because we don't want to go ahead with it, we are trying to drop it.
Right.
So please remember
so let me bring in Sumanth Raman before I come to Mickey Mehta. Sumanth Raman, I think one of the problems of this entire movement is the complexity of the argument. The fact that it is a combination of all of these things, and that's what weakens the argument to begin with.
No, I think, I sat on a few debates with the head of the Traders Association, the main association that has called for this boycott. And each time they came up with a new reason. Once it was groundwater, the second time it was all multinational companies, all foreign, they're all taking the money away from India. Another time it's very, very unhealthy. So each time, they kept giving a new reason. There is no rational, logical reason for permitting one set of carbonated drinks and banning another set. Boycotting another set as the case may be. If your problem is that these companies are going to take away the profits abroad, then you should logically not stock any of their products. You're continuing to stock, and it's a very clear thing, Faye. The thing is they're continuing to stock mineral water because it's more profitable for them. There's no two opinions on that. That is why. Otherwise, the first thing they should have done is they should have said we will not stock Aquafina or Kinley. Now they're continuing to stock that, and that is because they make more profits on that than they make on Coke and Pepsi. So that is the reason why that is done. So there's clear double standards there. So it cannot be because you are against these companies making profits and taking them away because you're continuing to sell the bulk of those companies' product. If it is a health issue, the whole thing falls to pieces. You're selling the chips, potato chips, which are extraordinarily unhealthy, made by the same companies.
Absolutely.
And you're continuing to sell them. How ridiculous is that?
Let me take that question to Mickey Mehta.
Now, is that not? And anything in excess is a problem, is a poison. So if you drink, look, if the government believes that this is safe, you have to trust the government. You cannot go and say, I think it is unsafe, so I will not stock it.
Right. Mickey Mehta, I want to ask you this question. And if we're talking simply, and let's break it down to various arguments, if we talk about just the health, now Sumanth Raman has a great argument, which is that if you were to take the Pepsi off the shelf, the Coke off the shelf, what about the Maaza? What about the chips? What about all of the other products that the same companies are making? How much more, how more harmful is Pepsi in comparison to, say, Maaza and a bag of chips?
Just a lesser evil. I would say none of these have any healing properties, so they couldn't be called healthy. Okay, banning them could be very draconian because here we have thumbs up available, as you said.
Yes.
So I wouldn't want to comment on that, but certainly I would say that soft drinks, especially colas, of course, if consumed more in quantity, they certainly have ill effects on health.
Is there a difference between the ones that are manufactured by international companies and Indian companies?
This is stupid. This is completely stupid. So whether it's a cola from India or a cola from abroad, cola is a cola. And that's period. But once again, coming to the point that you allow a local drink to proliferate and you ban an imported drink, that's unfair, which the government has allowed, the central government has allowed. And of course, that shouldn't be happening. There is politics happening everywhere. You can see.
So this argument, Mickey, this argument that's being made, which is that this is not a ban. These are traders who have decided that they do not want to give these products room on their shelves because they feel it's unhealthy. Do you stand by that, or do you think that there's a misunderstanding of the situation by these traders?
Truly, if this is the case, and I wish this is the case, it should be okay. But I think this is politically motivated, driven, or there are lobbies working in the interest of the locals and against the interests of the international players.
Naini, do you agree?
I'm not very sure about that, but I completely agree that we must literally educate the people on how harmful all these drinks can be. And a lot of these foods, because, healthy food, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy nation. We all want that. That's all what we want. We don't want foods which can cause cancer, which can cause obesity, which can cause sugar to rise. Come on.
Okay. Rajsekharan?
Banning one company, not
doesn't
good.
make sense. Don't target one particular company, but if you want to go after the health, there's an argument there. Do you agree, Rajsekharan?
I would say ban booze.
See, the government policy is
more bigger evil
you have
than
a FDI policy which is 100%.
You also save groundwater that way.
Food and beverages. So you contradict the policy of the government. You allow the foreign companies to come inside the country and do their business. And how can you stop them by banning through your trade unions? This is not at all fair. So you are going against your own government policy, which the government will also not agree. And if you want to ban, you ban every foreign product, be it American product, be it Chinese product, be it Japanese product. You ban everything. Even the TV is harmful for the eyes, for anybody. So you ban that product also. You don't be selective.
Okay, one second. Alexander wants to come in. Alexander, you've heard all of the arguments. Alexander, go ahead.
No. Yeah.
Where is the proof?
Yeah.
Where is the record for that?
So I've been listening for a while on this particular discussion in terms of the water, or in terms of the health, or in terms of the lobby, or in terms of the politics behind it, right? But let's make the point very clear. For every traders union, the end customer is the consumer. Now the consumer of youth, close to 15 lakhs people in January decided that they will not take Coke and Pepsi. Right? That means our end customer has already clearly decided that they don't want to come into this products. Do you think that the youths are mad, or they don't know what?
No. So that's not the argument, Alexander. That is a very good thing.
That's not a problem.
If the customer has decided to reject the product, it's a very good thing. But if you don't make,
that is not the problem.
You don't make the product available to the customer.
That is not the problem.
And we are not banning it. That is what I want to tell it again. We are not banning the Coke. We are stopping ourselves in terms of.
Okay, Alexander, I have just one question for you. One second. Alexander, I have one question for you, please. One question for you, please. Alexander.
If you look at the US government,
I have one question for you.
Clearly said they need to have this statutory warning in terms of selling a Coke or Pepsi in the shop.
Right. Alexander, I have just one question for you. Of all of the traders, of all of the traders who've decided not to make Coke and Pepsi available, how many of them are still selling cigarettes?
Policy of the government, traders union cannot dictate or threaten the government by imposing.
In terms of our sellers, it is close to 15 lakh people were into the business in terms of selling
15 lakh is not bigger than 7 crore. 7 crore is the population of Tamil Nadu.
And we have another 30% of the people are selling it because they got the stock already into it. We cannot just
Alexander,
get out of the stock
how
and get
many
lost
of
to the
your
seller.
members are
It will be slowly
not
step down.
One second. Alexander, can you hear me? Alexander, can you hear me? Say yes if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, my question to you is this. How many of the members of the Traders Association of Tamil Nadu are not selling Pepsi and Coke today, but are still selling cigarettes? Do you know?
See, what I'm trying to say is currently we have taken first step in terms of getting out of the the toxic.
Which is more harmful? Which is more harmful, cigarettes or Pepsi and Coke?
I totally take your questions, but our debate is mostly on in terms of the Coke and Pepsi.
Why?
Because if it is a tobacco, right?
Why?
It doesn't mean that we are taking it out of the shelf.
Why?
Because there is a clear warning that 18 people
so then demand for a warning.
Needs to be at least minimum 18 years of age. But here anyone can buy it.
What is actually, Alexander, explain to me what is the politics behind this?
Not in the general shop.
For God's sake.
Sumanth, Raman, you've heard the argument.
It is not a poison.
You've heard the argument. Go ahead.
I mean, the government permits
I think
trader and the more.
One second, Rajsekharan.
How can you?
One second, Rajsekharan, one second. Sumanth, Raman first and then Rajsekharan. One second, sir. One second.
How can some individual block it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The government has given the license.
All right, Rajsekharan, I'll come back to you. Okay, Sumanth, Raman, please.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, because see, whichever way you look at it, it doesn't make sense. There is some other reason which we are not able to fathom. Some mischievous reason is there for this. Otherwise, I mean, the traders are not, the heads of the trader association are not that naive not to be able to understand what is logic in front of all of us, selling the local drink which has the same kind of composition, and we've been through this whole thing. So there is some other reason. Part of it is youth who started shouting at the time of the Jallikattu protest saying ban Coke and Pepsi and things like that. Now, I think that what is happening is Tamil Nadu in a way does not have a strong leadership. Every small fringe group believes that they can put pressure and set an agenda for on the state government. And I think that is the huge problem here.
Right.
You would never have seen these kind of things happening. Even the protests of the scale of what we saw on the Jallikattu side, I believe it was justified. But It would never have happened maybe even 8 months ago or 9 months ago when Ms. Jayalalitha was in charge. The point is, there is a leadership vacuum. There is what is perceived as a weak government, and every two-bit fringe group in the state thinks that they can hold the government to ransom. That is what is going on.
Mr. Rajsekharan, I heard you laugh. I heard you laugh at that point. But would you disagree about the fact that Tamil Nadu does have a leadership vacuum right now, and every small issue is turning into a massive protest?
See, I wouldn't be so harsh as Sumanth Raman has commented.
And what we need to understand is that the lack of policies.
Government in place, but for every next thing you blame Modi or you blame Edapadi Palanichami. That is not fair. I will not do that. I will be moderate. I will say the traders union are going beyond their brief, and they are literally not allowing the shopkeepers to sell the product which they want to sell. They are very selective in their agenda. They are allowing the tobacco mafia and the tobacco tycoons to take charge of their shops, and they are selling cigarettes in the shop, and they are not allowing the Coke, Pepsi and other products to be sold in the same shop. Then the government is giving the permission.
What should any responsible government do? What should any responsible government do? They should call the trader association people and tell them that this is damaging the reputation of the state. There will be problems. 1 minute. Can I finish my point?
No, one at a time. And we also have to discuss right now. There are jobs at stake.
Only when the consumer doesn't want to have the product.
So that is the consumer's choice. That is the consumer's choice. It is not the trader's choice.
15 lakh consumers or 15 lakh youth.
And basically our body takes the oxygen in and gets out the carbon dioxide.
One second. Alex, one second. And, I also want to understand if these traders unions have discussed or understood the job implications of the factories that manufacture these products in Tamil Nadu. If these factories were to shutter down, which is what you're aiming for them to do, how many people in Tamil Nadu will lose their jobs? Yes, Sumanth Raman, go ahead.
1 minute. Any responsible government will call the traders association, representatives or the chiefs, tell them in no uncertain terms that this is not acceptable. This will damage the reputation of a state as a destination for investment. Nobody will come there if a few groups of people can get together and hold the state, hold the entire government to ransom. Mr. Edapadi Palanichami should call these trader associations tomorrow and tell them in no uncertain terms. Look,
running in our state.
No, 1 minute. 1 minute.
No.
1 minute. They are operating under licenses obtained from the government.
Do you want to still happen?
They cannot. No, 1 minute. 1 minute.
No. Even US government has
one second.
They need to have a statutory
It is not the traders' body. The traders' body is not the one which decides what is safe and what is unsafe.
Do you want that to happen in Tamil Nadu again? Or in Chennai
Alex, you're setting. There are a couple of problems here. And I just want to put it out. What Sumanth Raman is saying, Alex, point number one, Alex and the traders' union setting a very dangerous precedent here in the state of Tamil Nadu, where you decide what can be sold and what cannot be sold.
The Traders Association is not here. It is not the agenda of the Traders Association to decide what is safe to eat and what is unsafe to eat. That is the job of the government. That is the job of the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. That is why that organization exists, for God's sake.
Yes.
Not semi-literate traders who can sit together across a table and decide what they want to buy and what
let's take this outside the state of Tamil Nadu. Miki Mehta, I have a question for you. Miki Mehta, very simple question. 1 second, Mr.
This is a form of economic terrorism. The government must crack down and ensure that this is not allowed.
This has been there for
One second. I have a very simple question for Miki Mehta. Miki Mehta, for the citizens of Tamil Nadu to decide whether or not, and when someone walks into a shop, one second, Jayaram, 1 second. For the citizens of, yes sir, I will come to you. For the citizens of Tamil Nadu to decide when they walk into a shop and find that there are certain products not available, if they find in that shop chips, cigarettes, gudka, pan masala, is that shopkeeper or that person who has made this decision on behalf of the said customer being a hypocrite?
Obviously, yes. I think this is absolutely politically driven. Right. See, I mean, there are lobbies working for the ban. And the ban could be a bane, of course, but it is not fair.
It is not
certainly not fair.
All right. Jayaram Venkatesan.
To the trade unions that please don't argue that Coca-Cola, Pepsi can be banned and Bomonto can be there. Please don't argue that way. You need to make sure all the affected
please
drinks
ban
has to be
everything.
taken off, the cigarettes
No
has to be
foreign
taken off. That is the way trade
We have to
unions
go
have
50
to
years back.
argue. And
We'll
number
have every
two,
Indian product.
what we need to understand is that this is a result of lack of policy
Talk
for more
about
than 10
digital
years in Tamil
growth
Nadu with respect to the
and digital
Underground
economy,
Regulation Act. Tamil Nadu has withdrawn the Underground
everything,
Regulation Act in 2013, saying that they can't implement any regulation. And absence of such regulations definitely has raised the anger amongst public that the water is being given away at very low cost to many of these companies, and the result of that anger is what we are seeing today as a first step. And I appeal to the trade union, please do not argue that this is a foreign company, please do not argue that this is we will ban Coca-Cola, Pepsi and not Bovento. Please take this as a first step, but do that as well. Take thumbs up off, take Bovento off, take cigarettes off. And that is only when it can sustain in the long term. Otherwise, this will just be a very short-term measure, and then it will come back to the shelf in a few months.
Naini, I have the same question for you. One second, Sridhar, I'll come to you. Just give me 1 second. Naini, I have the same question for you right now. For someone who has decided on behalf of customers that that these products will be taken off the shelf. And remember, while Alexander has very, very carefully mentioned that the US has decided that these products should carry a statutory warning, the move could have then been, let's insist on a statutory warning, but that's not the move. The move is to take the product off the shelf while keeping other more dangerous products on the shelf. Is this basically taking away, this is the opposite of educating the customer. This is doing the exact opposite of that.
Well, not exactly not educating the customer. Yes, you can't take away one product, but you are taking a product which is very, very popular, which a lot of people in the health business have been saying is very dangerous, but people are not listening. So maybe this is a way for people to listen. Unfortunately, it is targeting two companies, but they are the world's largest selling aerated drinks. So I'm not saying it's a right move, but at least it might make people aware.
What about the jobs of the people who work in the factories who might be affected if this movement goes any further?
A lot of people will get affected, but if you take out cigarettes, it will get affected. And another thing, children are consuming this. Alcohol and cigarettes are kept away from children.
So you think this is as bad as alcohol and cigarettes?
Oh. Yes, of course. In a way, definitely. It's a slow poison because it's starting much earlier. It's
but
our country is also very aspirational.
Have known, I mean, these two products, cigarettes and alcohol, for sure will kill you. It's not a may kill you. It's not a might kill you if you consume at a certain level. They will kill you for sure. Miki Mehta, do you agree that a cola is as bad as cigarettes?
I beg to differ a little bit with Naini on the same. Of course, I don't say in the same breath that cigarettes, alcohol and colas are any different in terms of healing properties, but I would certainly say that yes, cigarettes and booze are absolutely no-no for children. But colas, I'm a little moderate. Like being a vegetarian, I do, when people say I want to eat meat, I say, okay, let your 60-70% of your meal be a salad. Okay, then you can.
So in moderation, you're saying it's not bad.
Okay, let me also confess that there are times that I do take a couple of sips of a Pepsi or a Coke, but I don't consume the whole bottle. And this also happens once in 4 months, 6 months or a year.
So fundamentally, it's not the same as cigarettes or alcohol. It's not the same as gutka or chewing tobacco.
Certainly not the same as gutka, tobacco or cigarettes. They are absolutely demonic in nature.
Okay.
And of course, colas are lesser evil.
Okay.
Relatively.
They are an evil, but much lower evil. It's not fair.
But yes, children should not get addicted to them.
Okay.
I mean, I certainly don't endorse that fact that children, because children have a very weak digestive system.
Let me just bring in Satish, who's on the phone line from Chennai. Satish, go ahead very quickly.
Yes, hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hello. One of the VIP told is why we have a company is there to lodge the complaint against the banned one. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, the same thing happened is the last few months before in Maggi. They given the complaint and the court is given is banned. After that, it's reopening the sales and the targeting is 1 day is of 200 crores, about the 200 crores in 1 day, the targeting price also, selling the price. And same thing happening is the problem is if you're banned also same thing will happen in future.
Okay, so you are saying basically, Sridhar Pabishetty, what he's saying basically is that you will, if I complain to the authorities, they'll take it off the shelf, but it'll come back like Maggie came back. So obviously there is a lack of faith here, Sridhar.
I think we should go back to a fundamental problem. Yes, there is lack of faith in our judicial process because they take a long time and we don't know what result comes out of it. But I don't think we can give up. We have to only make our systems better. Now, but let's look at the larger issue. It's the issue of pricing of water. There is a lifeline amount of water that all human beings need, which is about 50 liters of water per person per day. I think we have somewhere in this whole cacophony of being good forgotten today that so many people don't even get as much water, or they pay extremely high because they are poor and they live in unconnected societies, as compared to people like who are more privileged and who get connected water. So this has to go back to the basics of water availability, water supply, and more efficient use of water. When you have such a shortage of water, growing water intensive paddy or growing sugarcane or growing various other crops as compared to millets, other dry varieties.
These are all questions
These are
we
the
should
real
be
debates
asking.
for us to get into, and not all these superficial and really misguided debates.
Right, let's actually bring it down to simple points. Alexander, I'm going to ask you these questions again. If we take the arguments you have made to us, one, it's a foreign company, then why not take off the products of all foreign companies or all products of this foreign company, neither of which has been done. Secondly, if it's the argument of health, why not take off all of the products that are worse for your health than these two products along with the two that you have mentioned. Third, if it's the argument of water, I have read out to you, and I can do it again if you want, an entire list of of companies that receive water from Sipcot in Gaikondan, all of which use more water than Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So it does seem that in all these arguments that these two companies have been selectively targeted.
See, in terms of when we started with Coke and Pepsi, the Coke and Pepsi is a mass event, which is a protest which is coming up from the Jallikattu. That means the consumer doesn't want to have any more Coke and Pepsi to be consumed. When we know that demand is going to be taken off, and when we know that it is not good for health, right? We took a decision that will not sell it off, and it is not just took it over a day or over a night. There's a lot of series of discussion happen within the association, and there's a lot of people who has been consulted, and it has been taken up. And when it has been taken off, that will not be selling up. I'm repeating the point again. It has not been banned. It is not. We took a point that will not be selling off Coke and Pepsi. That means their products, anything which is carbonated from an MNC perspective, where it has been, the news has been spread across almost for a 1 month time, across 15 lakh people. And this 15 lakh people are in terms of selling up day-to-day shops in terms of Coke, Pepsis, on all the aerated drinks, and whatever you say, tobaccos and cigarettes, right? But I'm again coming to the point, these aerated drinks have been easily consumed by children or school-going children, where the tobaccos or the cigarettes are not being sold to the school-going children. And coming to the point, why we are very specifically looking at Coke and Pepsi. We are looking at very specifically, we are looking at Coke and Pepsi. It's of the fact that the youth has took a very clear decision. They don't want to have it.
Alexander, you made a very good point about the product being made available to school children. You made a very good point of the product being available to school children, which I have to point out. Naini made that point before you did. And again, it comes back to the fact that there is Government of India regulation that states very clearly at what age alcohol can be made available to an individual and at what age cigarettes can be sold to an individual. So if you feel that these products should not be made available to children, if is that what you really believe, then we should appeal to the Government of India to bring about a regulation that says anybody under a certain age should not be sold this product, which is when parents will realize that children below a certain age should not be allowed near these products. That sort of education needs to be made available. Mickey Mehta, the idea that we can appeal to the Government of India to bring in regulation rather than taking matters into our own hands.
I think we live in Kali Yuga. The good, the bad, the ugly has to coexist.
So the government of India
And
doesn't
to,
know it.
to and you know to make such changes is going to be a sorry. And to make such changes is going to be a tall
I'll
order.
answer your question.
I would be happy if this happens.
Probably
but I
the
think
government
education
may
is
come
the
in and
way.
look at
If
the
we
pesticides or look at the
people,
Coke and Pepsi
enlighten
and come back and
people,
say,
I'm
okay,
sure
let's ban it
let
up now
people
or
exercise
let's
the
ban it
choice,
to the children and
and that's
anything.
the only
But now
way
we took it as a
we can come
proactive
out of
action
this
that we don't
issue
want to sell it.
and bring
We're not making available to the
Okay, so
students.
let's concede one thing to Alexander. Alexander, I will concede one thing.
A generation here.
Right, Alexander, I will concede one thing to you, like Naini pointed out. One second, sir. Yeah, like Naini pointed out, I've run out of time, which is because maybe you've targeted these companies. A lot of people who did not realize that these things were unhealthy might realize through this campaign. So that's one positive coming out of the campaign, but I still believe that the campaign should run alongside the borders of the law and order within the box that is made available to you by the legal framework of this country. We ran a Twitter poll on our Twitter account this morning asking people if they'd prefer Coca, Pepsi or homegrown beverages. 41% of the people who voted said Coke and Pepsi. 59% said they'd rather have something that's been made or in India. Of course, the question then again arises is sugar, no sugar, natural, not natural. Those are all questions we should ask. But again, while campaigns, and we've seen a lot of them in Tamil Nadu, have been so rampant, should they stay within the purview of the law? We're going to track the story very closely for you here on Magic Bricks Now. Stay safe and eat healthy. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.